I went and saw Nosferatu, so let's talk about it. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe if you like these kind of videos, but let's get into the review. Nosferatu is the newest movie from Robert Eggers, and it's about this Transylvanian vampire who is obsessed with this woman played by Lily Rose Depp. And I mean, so obsessed, this vampire is horny. Thomas Hutter, played by Nicholas Hoult, travels to Transylvania to have a meeting with Count Orlok, or Nosferatu, while his new bride, Ellen, played by Lily Rose Depp, stays behind and gets help from their friends. And Ellen would soon discover that this evil force that has been attached to her is beyond her control. So of course, this is a reimagining of the 1922 classic Nosferatu, and it takes a completely different turn as far as, it actually having more of a concrete story. Robert Eggers over the years has done such a fantastic job crafting his own existentially gothic genre of horror. From The Witch to The Lighthouse to The Northman to now Nosferatu, he is really cementing himself as being one of the best modern horror directors out there. Even though The Northman wasn't a horror movie, it still was in that realm of the gothic, old-time movies. I have a few things to say about Nosferatu, so let's get into it. I have been excited to go see Nosferatu for a long time, ever since that it was announced that Robert Eggers was finally going to be able to make this movie. He has been working on this for 10 plus years, and the fact that Bill Skarsgård even got a script 10 years ago to actually play Thomas Hutter and not Nosferatu at the time, but now he's playing Nosferatu, and this movie's pretty great. Let me talk about some of the things that I really particularly loved about this movie. First things first, we have to talk about Lily Rose Depp's acting. Holy crap. I know she's a Nepo baby, but we can't have that excuse for how great of a performance she had in this movie. I mean, from beginning to end, you really just feel the absolute terror and dread that she is feeling, being just captured by this evil force, and it is pretty horrifying. And it only just ramps up from the beginning to the very end, and the ending of this movie is fantastic. I love the ending. This is not going to be a spoiler video, but the ending of this movie is great. Another thing I like is just Robert Eggers' authenticity. I mean, he just does his homework, he does his research, and he gets everything as accurate as possible. There's something particularly different about this Nosferatu than the 1922 movie. I think a lot of people were going into this thinking that it was going to look more like the one from 1922, and I'm not going to say what's different about this Nosferatu, but since Robert Eggers did all that work into doing the accuracy to the real time, it is different, and I actually like the changes. The cinematography of the film is fantastic. I feel like it's going to be going up against Dune Part 2 at the Oscars. Set design is unbelievable. I mean, it's crazy just how big of a world they built. I think it's just absolutely fantastic, and just a congratulations to the prop department, to the set designers. It was gorgeous. Bill Skarsgård is fantastic as Nosferatu, really scary, as authentic as possible. It's just so original. I mean, there wasn't any part of this movie where I was just like, we've seen this so many times before. And Bill Skarsgård, I feel like, is at one of his absolute best. I think this is probably the scariest he's ever been, and he just did fantastic. Now that we've talked about some good, because I mean, most of this movie is just good. It's a great movie, but there were a few things that kind of just distracted me, especially Aaron Taylor Johnson. He didn't do a particularly bad job at all, but I think that there were some moments that it just was not convincing. There were moments that he had to break down. There were moments that he was mad, and it just did not sound like real. It didn't sound convincing enough to me where it was like, I can really understand how upset he is or how sad he is. And there was a little bit of discourse there. I was just a little bit pulled out from those moments because everyone else around him was doing a better job at their performances, and it just felt so out of place. He didn't do a terrible job, but there were just moments that I feel could have been more defined as far as how his performance could have gone. Now, the movie does lack a certain amount of depth. Not saying that it doesn't have any depth, but it definitely sacrifices the depth so that it can have the terror. and the dread that it does have. Now, there isn't absolutely no depth in this movie. It does have a good amount of depth, but I feel when it comes to the story aspect of it, not a lot is happening. We have this idea that, you know, Ellen, Lily Rose Depp, is under this spell or, you know, this plague, how they call it in the movie, the Nosferatu plague. And we know that Nosferatu is after her. And that's kind of the whole movie. We have, you know, people going after Nosferatu, and it's a little bit predictable in the sense that it's like, we're not going to, I mean, obviously this isn't going to be a final showdown kind of movie. We're not going to have these people fighting Nosferatu. But Nosferatu is not a being to be fought. He is someone to just defeat in any way, shape, or form. And I think the movie is aware of that. I think the movie is aware that, you know, these people aren't actually going to be going up against Nosferatu, but it was just a little bit distracting. And not saying that it was bad, but it was just like, well, I mean, kind of predicted that, you know, that's not how it was going to go. But it does build up to a fantastic ending with a very poetic ending. It's awesome. I really, really, really enjoyed how it ended. It is kind of ambiguous, but at the same time, it's just super poetic and a really nice way to end the movie. Maybe I'll do a video talking about spoilers on the film because there is lots to talk about, especially the ending, and I don't want to spoil too much as to what happens, but it's very, very, very good. But anyways, I think overall Nosferatu is a fantastic movie. One of the best movies of the year. I think it's beautiful. I think cinematography is outstanding. There are so many amazing shots in this movie that were just so like enriching and just original and fresh, and I really, really, really enjoyed that. Robert Eggers is definitely one of the better directors of today, and I can't wait to see what he does more. And it's amazing that he even got to make this movie because this was his dream project. But anyways, that'll bring it to the end of the video. Like I said at the beginning, if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe if you like these kind of videos, but that'll bring it to the end of this one. I appreciate every single one of you, and remember, your movie moment is right around the corner. See you in the next video.